What's up, Shady Sports? I'm back here with another player interview, Mr. Dylan Van Boxel. Dylan, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How you doing? Good to be on.
Yes, sir, always. So, you recently wrapped up your season with the Topeka Tropics, your first indoor season. You finished the year with 8 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. How would you assess your performance?
Yeah, it was a pretty steep learning curve. I think that's the best way I can put it. This is my first time playing indoor, and it was a little bit different. Actually, I mean a lot different, truthfully. The space difference, so there's tighter windows. It's a little bit faster. There's quicker decisions. So for me, it was just kind of adjusting to the way the indoor game is played. There's times where you have to give your guys more of a chance than you do outdoors and that kind of a thing. So, I think at times I played really well. Then I think at other times you could tell it was my first year in indoor. So, I think it was a decent starting point for me, but definitely not overly satisfied with it, I guess, if that makes sense. So it was okay. Definitely can and will do a lot better though moving forward.
So, going back to your high school days, where did you get your start at?
Yeah, so in high school, I started out at Green Bay Preble High School, located in Green Bay, obviously. Played there all 4 years of high school. Started as a junior and then as a senior. And it was a big school. I think we had like 2,200 kids. So just being with that many kids and getting the start there in Green Bay, obviously the Packers and that kind of thing. It's a football town. Our whole conference is a football conference. The whole state really is a football state. So it's a really cool experience now. As I look back on it, growing up there, being in the shadows of Lambeau Field, it was really cool.
For sure. So, you after college, I believe you went to Kansas Wesleyan University.
Correct. Yep. So I started out at a Division II school in North Dakota, the NSIC, or sorry, University of Mary in the NSIC, which is like Duluth, Mankato, that whole conference, Bemidji State. Redshirt there my freshman year, and I actually had a shoulder injury that happened my junior year of high school. Was going through the whole recruiting process, never really got it looked at, and finally, like my freshman year of college, it kind of caught up to me. And I had initially torn my labrum from kind of getting like planted in the ground, and over time, from not just having a weak shoulder from that, my mechanics diminished a little bit, and I ended up tearing my rotator cuff as well. So after my freshman year, I had surgery on that, and then I was coming back from that, and was doing some rehab throwing, and felt a pop in my elbow. Turns out I tore my UCL and had to, normally a baseball injury, but I had to have Tommy John surgery on that. So came through that, and then went back to Rochester Community and Technical College at JUCO, Minnesota. Was all conference there, and then finished up at Kansas Wesleyan kind of during the COVID thing. So it was a little bit of a roller coaster in college, but definitely thankful for all the lessons and the people I met along the way for sure.
Sure. So you're still a young guy. I believe you're 25.
Correct.
Uh,
Yeah, 25.
so you're fresh. You're ready to go. A lot of people say you're 2 years out of your prime. So you're 2 years. When you're 27, you'll hit your prime. How's your body feeling overall?
It's good. Definitely over the last couple of years, there's been some times where I've got banged up a little bit for sure. But for me, I think, especially this last off season, it was one of those things where I kind of migrated away from the traditional like college strength, off season kind of workouts, and really got more quarterback specific and that kind of thing. And I attribute a lot of my success to Rob Williams, quarterback coach up in Canada, who's worked with a lot of different guys now. Really, we started during COVID while I was still in college. And truthfully, without Rob, like he changed my life. Coming off the two surgeries and everything, we reworked my mechanics. We, just did a lot of work on moving my body again and getting to certain positions. And then this last off season, worked with a guy who actually, James Morgan, who's also from Green Bay, was drafted by the Jets and stuff. Now he's with the Pittsburgh Maulers in the USFL. He recommended me to a guy down in Tampa, Sean Jacobs, and he was more like the strength conditioning side of things, and it was really cool to work with him because we kind of rewired my body. I started to breathe differently. I started to sit differently. Really basic things in everyday life that you don't think about that make a huge difference. So this is the best I've felt in a season in a long time. So it was really cool to kind of have my first season with that and kind of see how it played out.
For sure. So, I mean, you've been all over the world, right? Like you've been to Germany, Mexico, everywhere. Um, how is it leaving your family for long periods of time?
Yeah, it's tough to be honest. My first year overseas, I graduated that May and went right to Germany. I think I was home for maybe like a week after graduation. Had some things to take care of, and it's tough. Obviously you're very excited, especially the first time you go over. It's kind of a whirlwind. Everything happens really fast. So it was a lot that first year, but then going into my second year overseas, I kind of knew what to expect a little bit more. So like the whole cell phone thing, because I was like, well, like, what do you mean? Like my cell phone doesn't work over here, that kind of a thing, and how to navigate the public transportation. I mean, there's so many things that when you go overseas, you don't think about, because you're so excited for the opportunity. You're thinking about the football side of things, but it's really like the everyday life things that kind of catch up to you, I guess. And so figuring that out is definitely, I think, was a big key for me. Luckily, I had my offensive coordinator my first year was Emmanuel Lewis, who actually was my quarterback coach at my junior college. And so him and I work really well together. And so, having him over there definitely helped me, kind of show me the ropes a little bit, and definitely helped make the adjustment easier. But yeah, you definitely get homesick the first time you're over there. And it wears off, though. It definitely does. And you kind of get used to it. And then, you really start to enjoy the experience. So I'm real big on just kind of being in the moment and enjoying the experiences as they come. I'm thankful and blessed to still be playing this game. I know a lot of guys aren't that lucky. So for me, it's just to stay in the moment and kind of take things a day at a time.
So, without getting into too much detail, obviously, the ELF and the LFA, these leagues, they pay players pretty well. The housing is pretty good. What do you think about the overall like living conditions?
Um, I think it's crazy because part of me liked Europe better, and then another part of me liked Mexico better. Um, it it's really cool though. I think both with the LFA and the ELF that guys are able to make as much as they are now. Because obviously, like early on, some things were kind of up in the air, and you had different franchises, different ownership groups, that kind of a thing. And so I think to see both the LFA and the ELF get a little more established now, number one, it gives guys those confidence going, like you talked about, like leaving their families, leaving their, homes here and going there to play. So I enjoyed both Europe and Mexico for different reasons. I think both leagues can be really good for guys that, just need that extra shot to show a USFL team or an XFL or a CFL team, like, hey, like I still have good film, and that kind of thing. You do pretty well while you're doing it. So I think it's a really good opportunity for a lot of different guys.
So, in the off season and outside of football, I see that you're a full time physical trainer and quarterback coach and mentor. Um, what does your off season consist of other than training?
Yeah, so in the off season, I definitely after the season, I try to take at least a couple weeks, just kind of decompress a little bit. Try not to do too much. Maybe some simple stuff like going for a walk, but physically just let my body recover and that kind of thing. Then after a couple weeks, I get back into the football side of it and the strength side of it. But then outside of that, I really enjoy, because I've had a lot of really good people in my life that have helped me in a lot of different ways, giving back in the sense of like however I can help someone out. So for me, there's actually a couple things like, yes, I do like the private quarterback training and stuff. And actually, like as I was growing up, it was really cool. James Morgan again, his dad Brian, always worked with us, and I think I started with him in probably sixth or seventh grade. and then another guy, Scotty Smith, who runs Synergy Sports in Green Bay. And from an early age, I was kind of exposed to guys going out of their way to help kids, because I was a kid at the time, and so for me, it's just a really cool opportunity to give back, and so I love to do that stuff. I actually work, I guess, at it's called Impact Sports Academy. It's a baseball training facility. But I know both Eric Cordier and Jason Birkin really well, and they Jason owns it, and Eric helps him run it and stuff, and they both pitch in the major leagues and stuff. And I do a lot of their strength conditioning stuff, and so for me, it's like I see a lot of myself in some of those kids, so it's really cool to kind of go back and help make a difference in those kids' lives, and kind of whatever whether it's the actual strength stuff or if it's lessons that I've learned along the way, adversity I've had that anything that I can help pass along to them, I think is just a really cool opportunity for me to kind of help different people and see people succeed. That's what I'm all about, is just seeing different guys succeed in every aspect of life, whether it's sports, music, whatever it is. I like to see people succeed and, have success that way.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And you seem like a pretty creative guy yourself. Are you involved with music, or do you have a YouTube channel or anything?
So my junior year of high school, I, for whatever reason, got this crazy idea, like, hey, I'm gonna learn how to play guitar. And so I actually took lessons my junior year of high school into my senior guitar lessons, and I'm okay. I can play a few songs and do okay, but I'm not. I wish I was one of those naturally musically gifted people, but I had to work at it pretty hard. So like I said, I can play a few songs, and I love to play guitar. It's kind of a relaxing, soothing thing for me, but I just wish sometimes it came a little more natural to me.
So, obviously, you've been around the world. We talked about, you're creative. Um, have you ever thought about staying at home and playing for the hometown Green Bay Blizzard?
I have, and actually, there's been a couple life events, my dad's health, and then my mom had an accident where at times it actually would make things a little bit easier. Um, and I've talked to Coach Roberson about it a little bit. It's never worked out quite, the way either of us would want, but it would be really cool. I went to those games growing up as a kid. I'll never forget that. We went to those games a lot, and so part of it would be really cool. To go back to Green Bay and play for the Blizzard and do that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that eventually one of these years it does work out and I can kind of play for the hometown team, like you said, and play for the team that I kind of grew up watching. So that definitely would be really cool.
You played in the Champions Indoor Football League this past year. What do you think about that league as a whole? Because in a lot of people's eyes, they have a lot to work on. And are there anything that you would recommend that you hope to see change?
Yeah, I think any league, NFL down, truthfully, has things to work on. Even looking at the NFL, a lot of guys don't agree with the turf and, things like that. So I think any league you look at, there's issues, no doubt. With the CIF, I think it has a lot of potential. I really do. I don't think it's exactly where they want it to be yet. I would say the biggest room for improvement in the CIF is a little more consistency across the board with, how the teams are run, how they evaluate different guys. And, I know everyone's going to be a little bit different that way, but just to keep maybe a little bit more competitive balance and things like that. So I think the CIF has a lot of potential, and there are some very talented players in the CIF. I think a little more consistency across the board, living conditions, like I said, how teams are run and things like that, playing surfaces, that kind of a thing, could really elevate that league. And I think that's what they're working towards. And I think, again, in a couple of years, I think it could be a really, really good opportunity for guys to, get that extra film and keep playing football.
So, and that's what I love about Green Bay is, Green Bay has kind of created their own brand inside of the community, which is what every team should ultimately try to do. You see the other night they had 7,000 fans, and they have a consistent fan base. And so I guess growing up as a kid watching that team, how have you seen the Green Bay Blizzard evolve as an organization?
Yeah. As I mentioned before, Green Bay is a very football rich city. And, obviously the Packers, yes. And, the tradition there and stuff. But as a whole, high school football games are always packed in Green Bay. So I think there's a very rich football tradition and love in Green Bay. And so over the years, I've really seen the Blizzard kind of take that and apply it to the indoor game and to their own organization in the sense of like, hey, obviously the Packers aren't playing, there's no high school football, but hey, we all love football in Green Bay. Like, here's another opportunity to come watch it and be a part of it. And I know that they do a really good job with some of their corporate sponsors too, which I think is one thing I've noticed is like teams that have good corporate sponsors and things like that. Not only does it bring in cash flow and things like that, but bigger corporations, there's more people like, hey, like here's some tickets, gets people there. And, I think that has a snowball effect where it's like, hey, like, what are you doing? Oh, we're going to the game. And so, to see the Blizzard kind of evolve into that, I didn't even know that it was 7,000. I knew it was a lot, but I didn't realize it was 7,000 the other night. It's really cool. And I think it speaks to the love for football in Green Bay and how they've really taken advantage of that.
For sure. So, Dylan, I mean, I appreciate you coming on this
Yeah,
afternoon. I was about to say tonight, but it's this afternoon.
you're good. Yeah.
So my last question for you is, for kids out there watching this, right, whether they're in college, you made the tough decision to go overseas. What was the final straw you think that led you to ultimately like what pushed you to make that risk? Because for a lot of people, like they don't want to leave their loved ones, they don't want to leave people they care about. So
Sure. Yeah. For me, it was really two big things. The biggest thing really was my relationship with Coach Elu, Emmanuel Lewis, like I mentioned. Him and I were very, very close my junior college and, got to know each other really well. And I also played for like Stan Bedwell there, who made a huge career overseas. And so, just talking to those guys, I had heard about it. And while I was having my surgeries, I was at UW Oshkosh for a time, and our quarterback there, Brett Casper, went over to Germany. So I talked to him a little bit about it. And for me, it was, that relationship with Elu because number one, it was like I wasn't going over there blind, so to speak. I had someone that I was close with, I had someone I could trust. So I think that gave me a lot more confidence to do it. Because, like you said, it's tough to leave your family. It's tough to make that decision. Um, and the second thing is really like I just wanted to keep playing football. I had the tough stretch there, with the injuries and the red shirt and stuff like that. But for me, I felt like, dang, like, and then I did the work with Rob, over COVID. I was like, my best football is yet to be played. And so for me, it was kind of a thing like, and I did have some college eligibility left, but with the COVID rules and how they're going to pay for grad school with my scholarship and things like that, it kind of got all muddled up. So for me, it was like, hey, here's an opportunity to be with someone I trust, be in an offense that I'm comfortable with, as well as, prove that, hey, like I do have some good football in me and definitely have better days ahead. So for me, it was kind of all those things combined. Um, like I mentioned, I had some family situations at the time that definitely made it an even more difficult decision. But I'm ultimately so glad and thankful that I made that decision. I tell Elu all the time, like, dude, thank you for taking a chance on me. Because even like in the GFL, the ELF, like it's a lot of like big name quarterbacks, big name schools, that kind of a thing. So for him to put his trust in me as a smaller school guy really meant a lot to me, and we'd had a lot of success there. So for me, it was really like a full circle moment, after that season that, hey, like, number one, I can compete at this level. And number two, like, I did do this, like I took the risk and it paid off. So I'm so thankful for him and really for that whole first year with the Rostock Griffins organization and all the people that I met along the way. We still have a group chat actually with our import group there and stuff. So really, really thankful for my time there.
for sure. So, Dylan, I want to thank you for coming on. For those of you who don't know, you can actually use Dylan in Madden. I use you in Madden sometimes. You just go to Bailey Zappi or Trevor Lawrence, change a couple measurables up, and then
Hey,
get right.
you got to start with the hair though. Start with the hair, and you can go from there. So.
Oh yeah. But where can we find you? You want to shout out any loved ones?
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. dbox1232. And I'm wearing it. AAA Sports Performance. They're kind of a consulting brand that I've been working with, and I'm really thankful to have been working with them too. Actually, my one of my teammates, Nigel Lawrence, my first year in Germany, started it, and it's really cool. I've done a couple things now where it's like an outreach kind of a thing. So like I got on and I talked to his college guys for a little bit, kind of shared my story and stuff like that. So just giving guys like you guys do too, like a platform, because obviously the NFL guys, they have their platform and things like that, but there's a lot of really good football players out there with a lot of different unique stories. And I think a lot of different people can benefit from hearing those stories. And so, our whole goal at AAA is to, you know, again, provide that knowledge and that wisdom for that next generation. However we can do it, whether it's sharing our stories or, doing community outreach events and that kind of a thing. So I'm really thankful for AAA along the way. But yeah, and then super thankful for my family, man. It's been a journey with them, been a lot of adversity there, but I wouldn't be here without them. And I'm just so thankful for my mom, my dad, my brother Derek. Just thankful. So appreciate all you guys.
For sure, yeah, no problem. Appreciate you taking the time out, and I will be. I'm tuned in now to your career, and I can't wait to see you outdoors soon enough.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Have a good rest of your day. So that was Dylan. Really solid dude. Appreciate him taking the time out. You can. I will be back probably here in a couple hours, back on the network. Um, just throw, for you guys who want to support, I'll just throw this up on the screen. Just go, whatever you can do. And yeah, have a good rest of your guys' day, and I will see y'all real soon. So.